The Impact of UDL on Student Learning by James Cause, Jordan Mose, and Molly Gillam. Literature Synthesis. To begin the literature synthesis, a word frequency analysis was conducted using NVivo 12. Although this helped in identifying themes, a word tree created around the word UDL was also required, as is shown. The themes identified were academics, culture, disability, engagement, and technology. Academics appeared in the literature a total of 20 times. It was used mostly in reference to academic achievement. The literature strongly supports that universal design for learning can improve the academic achievement of students with disability. The improvement of academic achievement of students without disability is also supported, but less robustly. Culture was discussed in the literature a total of 13 times. It was also used in two contexts, in reference to the student's background and in reference to the development of positive classroom culture. Universal design for learning is more likely than traditional methods to support students of different cultural backgrounds due to the provisions of multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression. It has also been shown to improve classroom culture by supporting the development of social and interpersonal skills. The theme of disability was quite prevalent in the literature, with a total of 36 references to it. Universal design for learning has been identified as a best practice model for teaching students with different abilities. This is because it embeds differentiation into the instruction without post hoc adjustment. Engagement appeared a total of 32 times. These mentions were in relation to one of the three principles of universal design, being providing multiple means of engagement, and in relation to potential capacity for UDL to improve classroom engagement, which in turn has positive follow-on effects on student achievement and behaviour. Technology was a theme that arose in the literature a total of 9 times. It was spoken about in terms of integrating assistive technologies into lessons and classrooms, but also in terms of using technology to satisfy the three principles of universal design, being multiple means of engagement, expression, and representation. Artifacts of student work were collected after 2 lessons, one which scored 9 of the 31 guidelines provided by CAST in 2018, and one which satisfied 21 of the guidelines. Students' work was given a score based on standard of work compared to their own usual work, completion of task, and achievement of outcome. Each of these were given a score out of 3. As is seen in both the artifacts themselves and this stacked graph, Lesson 2 had held better results in all 3 categories when compared to Lesson 1.
In the next few slides, we're going to be looking at how UDL influences classroom culture. A lot of it is based on the growing population of the students with the different backgrounds, religions and upbringings, the diverse range of students and learning capabilities, and the different levels of education that some students start with or have come with, say if they come from overseas. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that students do have a lot of responsibilities outside of school, like sports, chores, and extracurricular activities. How does UDL help in the classroom? By allowing the change from standard teaching to UDL, it allows teachers to broaden their range of teaching methods for each class. It assists students who are both gifted and talented, but also those who are falling behind, to kind of bring them all up to the same level. UDL also gives teachers the options to structure each lesson to targeting learning goals depending on the class and its needs. It also gives students the ability to do extracurricular activities, as mentioned in the slide before, while still gaining the most out of their classroom learning. What do students understand about UDL? To get a better understanding of this, we created a survey and gave it to a group of Year 12 students. The six questions in this slide are the 6 questions used in the survey to get a better understanding of what they understood about it. These questions are: did they understand what UDL was before? Do they know that UDL could influence classroom and student learning? Do they believe UDL is a positive or negative teaching style? Do they believe that the classroom culture has an effect on student learning? if they were a teacher, would they use UDL in the classroom? And what kind of teaching would they like to see in current classrooms? In this slide, we look at the surveys that were created and given out to participants. On the left is the consent form, which talks about the legal aspects of the survey and allows permission for the study to be used in the research. The image on the right is the study itself, which has a brief description on UDL, a scaling chart, and the questions that were given in the previous slide. Over the next two slides, we're just going to look at some examples of surveys that were received and some of the different kind of responses that we got from the Year 12 students that we gave them to. As you can see, we gave out 10 surveys. 5 were for male students and 5 were female students. Question 1 did have a mid-range response with an average of 2.4 out of 5, but for the other 4 questions, 3.8, 4.2, 4.6 and 4.6, they were very high because they were all out of 5 marks. So a lot of it came back very positive about UDL and using it in the classroom. How do these results assist in the classroom culture? By giving out these surveys to current Year 12 students and keeping it very basic and straight to the point, the results came back with very positive findings towards UDL within the classroom. Majority of the participants agreed that using UDL within the classroom not only would be beneficial, but also admitted to using it if they were teachers in the teacher's shoes. The results from the surveys do indicate that UDL within the classroom at this present time can be beneficial and improve student learning. But as found in a lot of literature, with growing populations, increased diverse range of students and increased workload of both students and teachers, this kind of research and study would need to be continually checked and changed as times change.
Hello and welcome to this section of the presentation, where we address our innovative intervention to be used into future classrooms. As you've seen earlier in this presentation, our research was based on the universal design of learning and how it impacts students. Throughout the presentation, we have identified data from the literature synthesis and from our data collection. By collaboratively working together, we're able to create an intervention that provides teachers with the ability to utilize UDL in their unit programming and in their lesson planning. So this intervention will utilize the 3 principles of UDL. 1, multiple means of understanding. 2, multiple means of expression. And 3, multiple means of engagement. These 3 principles will be used as a checklist. Teachers will use this checklist to evaluate their lesson plans and their unit programming. Teachers will understand whether or not they've used UDL within their lesson planning and their unit programming. In the next slides, we're about to show you how our template will work and how we'll run our intervention. As you can see in this slide, the template is broken up into 4 sections, 3 principles, and a section for teachers to write their notes. In this section of multiple means of understanding, teachers will list and identify whether or not there are a variety of teaching practices and methods used in the classroom. This will ensure that this caters for all learners. In this section of multiple means of expression, we'll work correspondingly with the first principle. Teachers will list whether or not students will have opportunities to express themselves in multiple ways in regards to the first principle. And in this section of the template of multiple means of engagement, teachers will have to justify why they use particular pedagogies and teaching methods in their lessons. They will also have to provide an example how their engagement of students will increase in this lesson. And in this section, teachers are encouraged to write whatever notes they feel is relevant to the template and what could help them in future planning. This intervention will also utilize the same data collection protocol used by Molly. We will look at student artifacts, which will look like outcome achievement, task completion, and standard of work. We believe that this will give us a clear indication whether or not our intervention could have success in the classrooms.